several neighborhoods bound together by a canal that's great for biking, walking, catching a concert. Their shared history is at the core of Montreal's history, and their collective future is constantly changing. It's the Sud Ouest Montreal. To the people who live there, it's home. To people in the plateau, it's, you want me to go where? It's time for another podcast. Not quite live from Forget the Box Studios in Montreal. This is the FTB podcast, the only podcast you're listening to right now. And welcome to the FTB podcast, season 4. We're actually, for some of you, this is a different thing. Some of you listening in audio, this is actually live on Sunday, June the 11th, 2017. I'm your host, Jason C. McLean. And let's meet our panel.
Thanks, Jason. My name is Andrew. I'm a resident, a happy resident of the Sud Ouest for about 12 years. So I feel like I have a certain expertise on different issues facing the area, at least as relates to compost pickup.
And music.
And I'm also in a band with your brother.
Yes.
So I'm here to promote my band. I just did that.
Les Ski du Jaune.
Hey Jason, happy to be back. It's David. I formerly lived in the Southwest. Still have a lot of friends here, notably in Projet Montreal. And so I'm still really interested in the political situation here. But you know me, I'm always interested in politics, law, culture, you name it.
You name it, you got it.
Yeah.
And the reason why Sud Ouest is so important is this is a special episode. We are focused on the southwest of Montreal. That's Little Burgundy, Pointe St. Charles, St. Henri, Griffintown. It's north and south of the canal. It's an area that's divided north, south, east, west by the canal and by Atwater Street. And one of the events that happens every year for the past few years in the southwest is it's a folking awesome event. It's FolkFest on the Lachine Canal. And Hannah Besseau had a chance to speak with Matt Large, the producer of FolkFest. Let's listen to that now.
Can you tell us a bit about what they can expect for the 10-year anniversary this year and also how the festival has evolved over the past 10 years?
Sure. FolkFest on the Canal started 10 years ago when a couple of us partnered together with the McLean Brewery and put on a one-day little festival in the back of the Terrasse Saint-Ambroise. And we attracted about 500 people and had some really amazing acts and some national names and a lot of Montreal names.
Well, the milkman comes at 6:30 and the mailman at 7:45. And here you come.
So we built from there up to a 5-day festival now. We're on the Esplanade du Centenaire, roughly at Pitt and St. Patrick Streets in the southwest borough of Montreal. We feature 3 stages and youth performers, great McLean beer and other refreshments, food trucks from all across the city, some of the finest folk musicians from Canada and the U.S. Thursday night we'll feature 2 amazing indoor shows, one at the Mary U. Gay Cultural Centre featuring an homage to Penny Lane with a whole bunch of amazing Canadian folk artists. At the same time at the Théâtre Paradox across the street, Joe Grass and friends including Sin and Swoon and Jim Bryson, Andrew Horton and Katie Moore, Thus Owls, and a whole bunch of other special guests will be putting on a concert called Always on My Mind, featuring the songs of Willie Nelson.
I understand her. She just waiting for
Looking back on the past 10 years of FolkFest, what have been some highlights for you?
Every time we get to see community come together in the Southwest, people from all over the island and abroad for that matter. Highlights for me are every year when the festival is rolling and the sun is shining and everybody's out listening to music and has a drink in their hand and some good food in their belly and is enjoying themselves. Part of what's made the festival special for us is the family area. we spend an enormous amount of time all year long. In fact, we have a volunteer dedicated to making sure that experience for kids and families is something that's special and important.
So FolkFest happens, as you mentioned, in the Southwest. Why do you think the Southwest is a good fit for FolkFest?
We found that beautiful piece of land. First of all, we started at the Terrasse Saint-Ambroise and started to make friends and partnerships with businesses and with bars and with musicians and with our public. So we started there and have just remained loyal there, but also the municipal government and provincial and federal MNAs and MLAs who are there have really come aboard and helped support us. It's just become a really good home. I think there's an inherent vibe in the area, and the people who live there, whether they're new people coming in with gentrification of some areas or people who've been there for generations, are enjoying what we're providing the area, and they like the vibe of FolkFest. It's pretty easy to enjoy some of the best music in the world, and I don't think any of our music is very isolating, if you know what I mean. It's not something that you really have to be super into to have a good time there. I think it's appealing to a lot of people for a number of reasons. We've been blessed with beautiful weather over the last few years, but should we have some sprinkles, we'll still be there going strong, and hopefully you guys can come out as well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Matt.
Cheers, I appreciate it.
Okay, so thank you, Hannah, for that report. I got to say, FolkFest. Now, my take on it is it's basically it's Osheaga if people picked up after themselves. It's one of the cleanest festivals I've seen. Like the porta potties, they're immaculate. I didn't feel grossed out being in them, and it's a very community event. Lots of kids, but music, and also it's an event that it actually sticks to its theme, like the Jazz Fest. You have to look hard to actually find jazz in the Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
But there was folk. There was different types of folk. I don't know. I mean,
And rock. And
rock.
Yeah, I think the diversity, like even just within the folk genre, you think there's so much diversity within that genre that you have all kinds of different acts coming up that all fall within this, under this umbrella of folk. It's really, I think that's one of the things, having been there a few years, it's that I've really enjoyed about it, where you'll get these different kinds of, I've seen artists where it's like a 2-bass thing, and then you'll get like there was like a family thing where you have like kids up on, and everyone is super talented. Like the quality across the board is really amazing.
Yeah. No, actually, I saw an act one time. I saw it for the first time at Porch Fest in NDG, and they said, check us out at FolkFest. And I happened to be at FolkFest, and I saw them there.
Huh. I know. So who's headlining this year? Any ideas?
Well, as we heard in the clip there, Sarah Harmer's playing this year.
Sarah Harmer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Number of other people. You can actually see the entire lineup on their website, which is on the screen right now. One thing I like about it too, it's on the canal. It's the location is perfect for it. Like
they got the stages set up like a couple of yards from the actual canal. And the lights is perfect usually. The weather, I mean, if the weather's good, it feels great. Everything's outdoors.
Yeah. And it's like you can go to different acts. You can sit down right in front of the stage. Right. And one thing, if people are in chairs, there's obviously people standing, but people are in chairs, and it's just
bring your lawn chair. Yeah,
bring your lawn chair. I mean, I couldn't think of a better place to actually hold that event.
No, it's great. And even if you're not at the venue, the sound travels really, really well. And you can hear it from like miles away.
But the beauty of it is there's a lot of abandoned buildings around there, so it's not like the neighbors are complaining about
it's not. It's not like the South Shore's beef with Osheaga.
With Osheaga,
you're not getting say Lambert.
They're not going to sue you. Yeah, exactly.
What I found really interesting in that report is the fact that it actually started at Terrasse Saint-Ambroise.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
it started.
And I guess as it's grown, and they've had to, and they've added different stages. Like I know they have like a youth stage where I've dropped by these youth stages, and you'll see these really all kinds of different acts where you'll, it's a smaller venue, but you'll see really different kinds of things, and then you have the main stage. So I guess as it's grown, they've added on these smaller kind of satellite stages as well. So it's been really, really, really awesome.
No, it's an amazing. It's a very well organized event, which is. I mean, there's a lot of festivals in the city.
A lot of music festivals.
Yeah, a lot of music festivals. Montreal is Festiville.
Yeah.
And there's some festivals that are really well organized, but they're too too
specific,
too corporate. Too like there's like they just have big acts, or they have acts that are like that are maybe up and coming and stuff like that. But you got it's just.
Evenco. Anything by Evenco, basically.
And I like Evenco. Evenco does a lot of good shows. We're going to try to apply for accreditation again this year, so I'm not saying anything bad about
We love Evenco, especially the Molson family. We just want to make that clear.
But
our overlords.
There's something about this that is so community-based. I think that's what a lot of festivals lack. They lack the community. They can have international artists, but this festival is so part of the community.
Because McCausland is really part of the community, right? I mean,
the brewery's right there.
Brewery. They have a beautiful terrace with all these they offer tours of the brewery, and they got special beers.
Yeah, and the canal. And it's also a really nice place to go out and.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine them doing something like that in the winter. Although, what I find funny is what I find interesting is there's always the main festival is on the canal, but they always have one act. There's that Kuroda Theater, which is officially a big star, which is officially part of it. And then there's always a DJ night at Bar de Courcelles, which is somehow officially included in the program. And that's the one non-folk part, but it's part of the community.
It works.
It works. There's no reason to leave the Southwest, which is I think another reason why we're doing the podcast here in the Southwest. But we're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're gonna talk about some bigger stories. Or some non-specific Southwest stories. They're not necessarily bigger stories. They're different stories. This is News Roundup.
News Roundup.
First item of news. There was an election in the United Kingdom. Everybody said that Labour had no chance, that Jeremy Corbyn was unelectable. And, I mean, that was a lie spread by his own party. Honestly, by members of his own party.
With the help of the right-wing tabloids.
Yeah, but you know who bought that lie? Theresa May. She called an election thinking she was going to get She didn't have to. She was in power for
2 years.
For 2 more years. And she called it thinking she was going to get a bigger majority, and now she's probably the first one out the door.
Yeah, most likely. I would say she's her days are numbered now, pretty much, because it's a hung parliament. She put together a coalition with the most right-wing political organization in the UK, arguably, which is the Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland, Ian Paisley's old party. They have links to Irish paramilitaries. Okay, this is not going to go well. And basically, she's hanging on by the skin of her teeth.
Yeah, there was a joke a meme I saw, basically saying, Theresa May did warn of a wild coalition with a bunch of terrorists. She just didn't tell us she'd be the one leading it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
there's a certain irony in somebody who's supposed to be all about fighting terror in the UK, getting into bed politically with an organization that essentially evolved out of a terrorist paramilitary group in Northern Ireland. I think that needs to be said.
I think the whole way the election process went about, where they have that, as we do in Canada now, these fixed date elections in a parliamentary system where you're kind of bringing in that Republican side of fixed date, kind of very American style, bringing that into the parliamentary system. And I think Corbyn went along with it because I think you needed to submit that to Parliament, and then and I guess the whole premise of part of that premise is that it prevents governments from putting oppositions in seeing them in points of weakness and then capitalizing on that, and then kind of creating these longer chains where it kind of came back and really, really in a big way, in a very surprising way, really put her in a much more difficult position as she's trying to negotiate this whole Brexit thing. And I know the EU wants to make they want to start talking this weekend. They don't want to be waiting for another 6 months while we're waiting to see what happens in the rest of the UK. So.
Yeah, I think she's done. I think they're going to keep her on at least for the negotiations, but I think at some point she's not going to last that long in power. I mean,
her own party. I think the knives are already out for her. Yeah. Boris Johnson has basically come out and said, "I'm interested in being the next leader."
Yeah. So I mean,
and that's interesting because you didn't see when Cameron stepped down there, you didn't see a rush. Either necessarily. There wasn't like everyone saying we really want to get in on this fantastic opportunity to lead the Tories in Britain, because they recognize that maybe this is going to be a difficult spot.
I think the most important thing is that Blairism, the Blairites, Blairism, New Labour is over. I think Labour now has to realize that Jeremy Corbyn is the way. There were people in this party undermining him the whole
Do you
way.
think this is a high water mark for Corbyn?
Yes.
Or do you think that he needs to go a little bit towards more of a Blair model eventually?
No. I think this is
to make a government ultimately.
I think this is a proof that he actually has to keep on what he's doing, and his party has to adapt to him, which is different. Another leadership change recently. The Conservatives have a new leader, and it's this guy. Anyone know him? Who's that guy? I don't know.
I think he was speaker.
Yeah,
I don't know in what else he's done in his life, but I think he was speaker.
He was speaker of the House. I think he represents a riding in Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah.
Capel.
But it's surprising. Honestly, I got the notification that the Conservatives.
He's Mr. Wonderbread.
Yeah.
He's as he's as boring it seems as it gets.
I think he's their Stéphane Dion. I think he's the Conservative Stéphane Dion.
Okay,
think about it. It's a historical parallel. There was Dion and another gentleman. Basically, when Dion got the nomination of the leadership, it was all anti-Ignatieff, and it was the two closest ones. They said whoever's out first, all their supporters go to the other guy to beat Ignatieff, and that's exactly what happened this time.
But I think with the difference being that happened on the convention floor. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right?
Yeah.
So basically, Iggy lost to he was out before Bob Rae, before Stéphane Dion.
Iggy lasted to the last ballot with Dion.
Okay, so so it was Bob Rae. Sorry, so Bob Rae drops out, and he throws his support to Stéphane Dion to piss Iggy off, right?
and what made Stéphane Dion the leader.
So he ends up being the kingmaker. So. But this was not that type of convention because basically all of the ballots have been cast, almost all of them, like 60% of them, before the convention even took place, right? Because they had this ranked ballot system and people were able to vote in advance.
Like the last
NDP
leadership,
technical
right?
stuff. Right, exactly. But you're right, though, because what happened was the social conservative wing that was voting overwhelmingly for a guy named Brad Trost, who's even more atrocious than Andrew Scheer. As far as social conservative issues go, abortion, gay rights, you name it, he basically said to his supporters, well, he didn't necessarily say, he didn't endorse Andrew Scheer, but he said his supporters, according to the analysis, went for Scheer as their second choice.
Yeah, so you could make the parallel. It's an acceptable parallel. I mean, I don't think he's going to win.
They're both politicians.
Yeah, they're both politicians.
And they get.
But I think it's going to go down this. I think Scheer is going to lose in the next election badly, and it's going to go on to maybe.
Bernier is going to get his kick of the can.
Bernier might get his kick of the can, and then he will lose worse than Scheer.
Yeah.
And I think it's good news for the NDP. I mean, they can't do worse than Scheer. I think.
But it's better news for Justin.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's better news.
Better news for Justin. And, sad news for people who are fans of the original 1960s Batman. Adam West sadly has passed away. Yeah. Just a little moment, Gray as Batman. I'll remember him as the mayor on Family Guy, Mayor Adam West. Oh gosh, yeah. That's actually
also the Simpsons cameos.
Yeah, he was on the Simpsons as himself.
At least once.
He was an icon already, and he was able to basically become more iconic by self-parody.
Yeah,
and I think that's something that really shows.
He had kind of a Shatner-esque career in some way.
You're right, very Shatner-esque, actually. Yeah.
Like
I was reading something that Seth MacFarlane said that he deliberately avoided Batman references in Family Guy writing to not play off that side of things so much.
Yeah,
but everyone knows who he is, but he not kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's had such an interesting career. I mean, first time I saw him was on TVA. French translated Batman, where they would do the pow bang thing on because I would see it in French. I don't know why I watched it in French.
Yeah.
So he was a fantastic guy.
Let's give credit where credit is due. I think Adam West, if you look at those shows today, that was deliberate. I mean, it takes it takes actually a brilliant actor to portray a Batman in such a terrible, funny way like that. I think the whole show was designed to be a joke.
Yeah.
I mean,
very Leslie Nielsen Naked Gun style almost, with that dry, serious tone.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, before that was popular on television.
Yeah,
an ironic parody of superheroes.
Yeah.
Before that was
the
norm.
He's someone who will be missed. We're going to get back to talking about the Southwest, but first, here's Jerry with last night's Southwest weather forecast.
Nice. It rained a little earlier. Kind of cool.
Thank you, Jerry, for that weather report. Jerry Gabriel. frequent panelist. Happy birthday, Jerry.
Hi, Jared.
Now, that was actually filmed outside on the back of Terrasse Saint-Ambroise.
Oh, cool.
And right next to Terrasse Saint-Ambroise, like you can see it from the terrace, there's this structure.
Yeah.
There are these silos. These it's the
It dominates the skyline. It's the malt factory.
the old malt. It's not a malt factory anymore.
Yeah.
Now, right now, we're going to start showing on the
Can
screen.
we make malt great again?
Let's make malt great again. No, there's probably another pun in there somewhere, but I already used up my pun quota when I made the joke about folking awesome. But okay, now on the screen, you are seeing footage shot by one of our producers, Enzo. Part of it's from a music video, part of it's from there's a sort of a dance thing. Basically, the point is, this is what it looks like on the inside. This is like you can see, like look at that, like look at that, the sky, the looking up at, they're just ominous, and then inside you see all the writing. It's like a whole other world in there.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I passed it many times. This is great footage, honestly, because you're not allowed in there. This is not a tourist attraction, but it's got all kinds of cool things going on inside, including obviously great graffiti.
People
art.
get in, and there's a community inside there. Well, there's probably people who live there, but there's people. It's great for art. It's great for. It's just this like hidden little gem in the middle of.
It's a nice like reminder of the industrial history of that whole corridor as it's evolving into condos and a more kind of I guess gentrified kind of scenario. That this was a place where a lot of people did a lot of work over decades, and not more than a century.
Yeah,
it's these old, beautiful old industrial buildings,
and they're preserving that. I mean, the thing is, obviously, that place. There's, I mean, you're saying there's some story about what's going to happen.
What's going to happen to this? Because it's federal property. The federal government owns it. It's part of the Lachine Canal, which is also a federal park. And the question is, do they turn it into condos, more condos, or do they turn it into maybe social housing?
Yeah, I mean, I think
or both. Yeah,
I think obviously I prefer the idea of social housing, but I think that the fight is on. Like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a big push to make it condos.
Sure,
but are they going to preserve the aesthetic of the place, regardless of the plan? I think they have to preserve the aesthetic of that.
I hope so. Yeah,
like
some elements anyway.
Yeah, like living in you could even housing, social housing, or condos. You could build that with some of the silos, some of the stuff in the background.
Exactly.
I think with this area, this whole area has it's a working class path. It's like this is the foundation of Montreal, the Lachine Canal.
Sure.
Come through all these neighborhoods. Like, I mean, they're changing a lot lately. I mean, the canal. How long has the canal been what it is now? Like, it's
a federal park. You mean?
Well, it's always been a federal park, but it was really run down. Like a while when I was younger.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It was not what it is now. There was not the bike path
in the early '90s.
Yeah,
I mean, it was kind of dead. I mean, if you went to like Griffintown, there certainly weren't a lot of residential buildings. I mean, it was still like abandoned factories, like the malt factory mostly. And then there's some art spaces. I remember like the Darling Foundry was one of the first art galleries, I think.
So places are becoming art galleries. Places are becoming bars, restaurants.
Yeah, they're starting. You saw some like gentrification, but it was just right at the cost.
Now we have restaurants that presidents visit.
Exactly.
We're going to put a little picture on the screen right now. Now, Dave, there's one guy in that picture that's related to you, right?
Yeah.
Your brother, right?
That's my brother. Yeah. So
what's your brother's name?
SouthWest, Paul DesBaillets.
Okay.
And those of you who hang out on Notre Dame Street probably know Paul already because he co-owns Burgundy Line Pub, and so he's there a lot. But this particular evening, they had a guest, a surprise.
The other guy in the picture, right?
The other dude.
What's his story?
I'm told he's the former something of the United States.
He's in government or something like that, right?
President, is it?
President? Yeah.
Anyway,
he was the guy before Trump.
Yeah, he's the guy before Trump. Exactly.
Sorry, President Obama.
Yeah, the guy who ruined America. That
Senator
guy.
from Illinois.
Senator
from Illinois.
Yeah. So he
married to Michelle.
Married to Michelle.
She didn't come.
No.
Yeah,
nor did Sasha Malia. And I got to say, one of the things that I got from listening to his speech, most of his speech, he talked a lot about grandkids. Did you notice that? He mentioned grandkids like at least
I
twice.
think he wants. His daughters are young. You guys give it time,
I know,
man.
give them a chance. For
yeah.
God's sake, they're what? Like they're still teenagers.
Putting pressure on your kids is one thing. Doing it on stage in front of
know,
strangers
man.
on the internet
because
is...
it was in the context of climate change. Like it's a talking point. You know, we got to do this for our
You're
grandkids.
thinking about the next generation.
Yeah, exactly.
So if his daughters don't give him grandkids, then he doesn't really care about the climate.
Let the world go to hell. Let the world go to hell.
But yeah, so your brother met.
So getting back to this great story. My brother actually knows Dave McMillan. McMillan owns Liverpool House and Joe Beef, and they told my brother and a bunch of other people that they were going to have this, secret guest coming to the restaurant that evening, and so they knew it was going to be huge. The security was really tight, and so my brother was there when Obama arrived, and then later got to hang out with him for about 5 seconds for a photo op, and you see the results. Like Obama is the most. That's exactly what he looks like in every photo I've ever seen of him. Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah. He is so consistent when it comes to taking photos.
I interviewed Mick Foley.
Ridiculous.
It's a bit different than the President of the United States. I interviewed Mick Foley, the wrestler, one time, and I gotta say, he was exactly as you would imagine him.
Yeah.
He's one of those people. He's like,
Right.
and he just seemed to.
They can turn it
so
on.
friendly.
Just like
they can
that.
turn it on.
Yeah.
So friendly.
Exactly.
So great. Now, besides presidents visiting and FolkFest, there's a lot of things going on in the Southwest and overall Montreal. So this is Hannah Besseau with the community calendar.
Tuesday from 9 to 12 at Casa del Popolo, band Amerisou is playing along with Montreal's Lonely Boa and Jasmine Infinity. Amerisou's experience as a black trans woman inspires her to create cosmic electronic pop where magic and the astral planet become creative allies. The event is a co-presentation between Slut Island, CKUT, and Suoni per il Popolo. Saturday, June 17 at Bar Lesco Griff bands Body Wash, Hot Garbage, Blank Bullets, and Kaleidoscope Horse are playing a rocking show. Cover is $10 and doors open at 8. Thursday, June 15 at Norman Bethune Square, join Concordia Student Union and the Tatamon Collective in solidarity with Bisan Aid. Bisan is a Concordia student and new mother who has been trapped in Gaza, unable to return home. Since January, Bisan has been prevented from leaving the Palestinian territory of Gaza due to the Israeli authorities' refusal to process her exit visa using her Canadian passport and the unreasonably slow processing of her exit visa. The violation of Bisan's right to freedom of movement has not only forced her to give birth in Gaza, far away from her immediate family and adequate medical facilities, but it's also obstructed her completion of a master's degree in civil engineering at Concordia. Join in solidarity with Bisan June 15.
Prediction!
Now predictions.
Right. So my prediction is House of Cards. House of Cards. What are they? Season 4 now? Season 5?
Yeah, season 5. Season 5.
So my prediction. House of Cards are going to announce that Season 5 is the last season. The writers are quitting because they cannot compete with the Trump administration.
So I'm going to take a sports angle on this. I'm predicting that PK Subban will be making an appearance at the Montreal Children's with the Stanley Cup.
Ooh. And I'm going to predict that there's a sports angle and a Southwest community angle. I think the two are going to merge next year. We're going to see an off-festival, FolkFest, in the canal. Tried to play music, swimming, that whole thing.
And I'm predicting Adam West will appear in the next Batman movie as a CGI character, and he will be facing the villain of the next Batman film, which will be Donald Trump.
Ooh.
Yeah.
In the same vein, I'm going to predict that Boris Johnson quits politics in the next 2 weeks and starts a one-man roadshow where he imitates Donald Trump and really brings the hair buddies together for a real great summer. A summer of love.
A summer of hair. Summer of love. And I predict that following Barack Obama, Bernie Sanders is going to come to Montreal, and he's going to be spotted eating at the Green Stop with the entire Projet Montreal Southwest team. Craig Sauve,
He's up for re-election, by the way.
Yeah, Benoit Dora.
Benoit Doré, who is the mayor of the Southwest, who's now just joined Projet Montreal.
Yeah, they're all going to be eating with Bernie at the and he's going to be
the green spot.
and he's going to be eating the Saint Henry poutine. So I do want to thank my guest Andrew the Ski du Jaune.
Thank you very much for having us.
We can check you playing the bass with the Ski du Jaune.
Absolutely.
Is that anytime soon or any shows coming up?
We got some shows this fall. We're looking at some opportunities. Nothing specific yet, but we're looking at some great opportunities.
Perfect. And maybe we can read you on Forget the Box every now and then.
Yeah, occasionally. Plus my political career.
Yeah.
Things are looking good for me. I think I'm probably going to be running for the Projet team. I haven't decided where exactly, so stay tuned.
You'll hear it here first on Forget the Box. So thank you guys. It was our live podcast. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you. And then come visit the Southwest. The FTB podcast by the Forget the Box Media Collective in Montreal was hosted by Jason C. McLean and produced by Hannah Besseau. For daily, unique, original content covering news, music, politics, arts, lifestyles, food, film, you name it, we've got it. Check out forgetthebox.net.